Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to welcome you aboard. We kindly ask that you fasten your seatbelt.
And eat your fucking nuts. This is Confessions on the Fly with
LJ
and Flight Attendant Joe. And we are here. Thanks, guys, for joining us back on the Confessions on the Fly podcast. LJ's laughing for some reason.
Because I was thinking about tacos.
Why tacos?
I'm so hungry.
I'm thinking about tacos now because I saw that Chihuahua down the street. And I wanted to put, because only in LA do you see a Chihuahua walking down the street that's smaller than any kitten I've ever seen.
It's the tiniest Chihuahua I've ever seen.
I wanted to pick it up and put it in my pocket.
I know you did.
But his mom looked like she would beat me up.
Absolutely.
I love Chihuahuas.
You like the little baby.
Yes, I love
so
any.
Little.
Well, yes. So what's going on with you, Miss C?
How are you?
Seen you. Oh. I am
good?
Yeah, you know what? I'm okay.
Okay.
I'm doing good.
Okay.
I'm doing well. Been working a lot. Don't like that.
Oh, I've been off for quite some time.
Oh, that's nice.
Which has been lovely and amazing, and doing other projects with writing and stuff like that.
Very
as
good.
You know.
Yes.
And then, so last night I took melatonin. Do you melatonin?
I melatonin.
I melatonin.
I do.
I have to melatonin because by nature, like I stay up really late. So I'm like, that's why I love doing red eyes. But I have a trip coming up and it's all mornings. So I'm trying to regulate my system and get back on getting up very early and that kind of stuff. So it's easier. So my body's not stressed out.
Right.
And I'm not sleeping for 3 hours or 2 hours and then trying to work a full day. So I melatonin to try to like regulate the system, but do you get like crazy freaking dreams?
Out of control.
Out of control. Okay. Okay. So melatonin makes me nuts.
All right.
So I feel like I shouldn't take it while I'm on layovers and stuff like that.
Oh yeah. Cause you might not wake up.
I get terrified of not waking up. I don't like putting things in my system, blah, 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 blah.
I'm not even going to comment about putting things inside your system. So continue, please.
I'm very specific.
I'm trying to behave right now.
I'm very specific of what I put in my body in all places.
Batteries not included.
Definitely not.
No, stop.
If it's purple and plastic, I'll take it.
I don't even know what that means. Is that like a dog's penis? What? Oh, no, that's red. That's like lipstick. Continue. Okay. I'm out of control.
Anyway, no, so I took melatonin the other night and I had the craziest dream, like full on drug cartel, like Mary Louise Parker from Weeds, like dream that I was getting kidnapped, that I was drug smuggling and like in a warehouse and it was so vivid, like beyond vivid. And I literally had one of those out of body experiences where like, wow, I really need to write this down because this is amazing. Right. And I was like, I can't wait to tell Joe this. But like it was nice. Oh, I miss you. But it was so vivid and it was like just insane and it went on the entire night.
Okay.
Do you ever have those dreams that like it goes on for the entire night and you wake up exhausted?
Yes, and then I fall back to sleep and it continues. It's like a sequel and I'm like, I did not sign up for this.
I did not sign up for this trilogy. This is way too much for me.
When I take Melania, we... My God. Ladies and gentlemen, she just busted out. I can't fly for months. My ear is buzzed out. So in my house, we call melatonin Melanias because we figure if you're going to be married to Donald Trump, you've got to be on some type of medication. And melatonin, Melania, they go. So Matt will say to me, "Did you take a Melania, Papa Melania?" So I took a Melania the other night.
Also, Matt, where's my cookies?
Matt took a Melania, and I had this dream. Do you know what a slackline is, right?
Yeah.
I had a dream. That you walk along. Yeah, I had a dream I was driving my Mini Cooper on fire. Just one. Like I was in the car driving and I was like, I'm on a slack line. I don't even know where the tires are. I need to wake up for this. And then I was hiking on the slack line and the slack line went from San Francisco to Reno with no stop. Can you imagine hiking from San Francisco on a slack line like 10,000? It was like 10, like I was higher than the trees. Like jets were flying by me. And I was like, well, no wonder Melania walks around like everything's fine.
Right. Because she's just constantly on melatonin.
Bless her. She's sleeping all the time.
Bless her heart.
Oh, I can't even.
That is a job. It really is.
Let's not get into politics, but that's the job that I would not even want to collect unemployment on. Because that means at some point I did the job.
Right.
And by job, I mean blow. Sorry, I keep interrupting you.
She deserves to be paid more.
Oh my God.
Anyway, so that was I'm just trying to regulate my system and get some normal dreams, but melatonins.
Well, I've slept at your house, and you definitely have an interesting sleeping pattern.
What do you mean?
I don't know. It's just like, because when you go to sleep, I'm afraid you're gonna die. Like, because you put your eye mask on, even if it's dark, and I think you put a hoodie over your head.
I burrow.
You like curl up in a ball.
I put pillows on top of my face.
You basically smother yourself. You die for 6 hours, and then you wake up and you're reborn. I don't know. It's when I sleep over and I have to go, because I don't want to give details of LJ's apartment, but you have to go through her bedroom to get to the bathroom. And whenever I have to go, I'm always like, should I wake her to see if she's alive? And then I'm like, I'll just figure it out in the morning.
It's fine. I have a very cute, tiny apartment.
It's very cute. It's very tiny.
Cute little bungalow.
And I've used the bathroom and pooped many times in there. So,
nice. Yeah. Lovely.
But I want to talk about something we are going to talk about something that happened at work as we spend the whole episode.
Sorry, we're just talking about melatonin. What this episode is really about.
And anyone who's listening is like, oh, I take melatonin, and
exactly.
I have those fucked up dreams,
I'm sure.
too.
Oh, that's one.
Oh, there's one. If you listen to this podcast, you know LJ keeps track of how many times I say fuck.
Mm-hmm. Do you keep track of how many times
two.
I don't think I've...
No, I guess I could. I should keep track of how many times you grab your boobs and adjust yourself.
Always.
Well, then
Every 2 seconds.
the show would be over because I'd be like, we can't do anything but talk about that.
I'm constantly fidgeting.
Well, I'd fidget with your boobs too. Okay, can we get back on track? So, I worked a trip.
What are we talking about
today? We're going to talk about the gate agent agenda.
Ooh.
The gate agent agenda, which is to get the airplane door closed. That's all they care about, right?
Correct.
I think.
Out and on time.
Out and on time. So I was working last week, and the airplane came in late, which is not our fault.
Correct.
Right. So the 5 of us, 2 pilots and 3 flight attendants, we walked down the jet bridge, and the captain starts briefing us. So we have to do a safety security briefing. He tells us all the important information we need to know, right?
Totally.
So as he's talking, the gate agent walks up and says to him, interrupts his secure. I don't even look at my phone while the captain does his. You're not supposed to. You're supposed to. It's respect.
Well, it's rude. Yeah.
This gate agent walks. I'm not even going to say where we were. He walks up to the pilot and interrupts and says, "You have 3 minutes."
To the pilot?
He says to the captain.
Or he didn't say to the group of you?
No, he looked at the captain and he said, you have 3 minutes. So the captain paused. We all looked at the guy like, wow, we're going to get to see somebody die. So we look over and the captain goes, 3 minutes for what? And he goes, 3 minutes until we are ready to board. And the captain says, you see me briefing, the plane came in late, right? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, and I'm briefing my crew. You just walked up. So we're going to board when I say we're ready to board. And he goes, yeah, well, I'm going to have to put this delay on you. And I'm thinking, dude, wow. You must have the biggest fucking elephant balls in the world. Right? You can mark that fuck down.
Oh, there you
that's
go.
Too. You must, you're so brave. So the captain goes, yeah, you know what? Put the delay on me.
Yeah.
I don't get in trouble.
Yeah.
Because I need to brief my crew.
Yeah.
And the flight attendants have not even been on the airplane yet. So when they go on the airplane, they're going to do their security checks, and then they're going to tell you when they're ready to board.
Oh my God, he said this?
He said this. So the gate agent I can't even spit out the words. The gate agent says, well, technically, we're the ones who tell the flight attendants when it's time to board.
He's got a death wish.
So at this point, I'm just like, is the flight going to cancel? Because I expect the whole airport to explode right now.
Correct.
So the captain goes, no, they're going to tell, not today. They're going to tell you. Now, let me finish my briefing and you go back up to the gate. Well, let me tell you something. I got the hardest boner because this captain was saying all these things. I was so boned up.
I was going to say, I would be so turned on.
I had to lean on my suitcase because I was afraid my bone was going to pull me over.
I would be so turned on at that point.
I wish my bone was that big. But no, I was just sitting here going, why am I lying to everybody? I wish I could use it as a kickstand. But
tripod.
I was just after the gate agent left, he goes, the captain says, that guy must be new. And I was like, oh my God, I love you.
I love you.
My pants were wet.
I love you.
I wanted to just show him my boobs, right. But I don't think he's into that.
No.
So So that was that situation. And then like 2 days later, we're in Florida somewhere.
Did you get a delay? But side note, did you get a delay?
No, we closed the plane on time because I don't fuck around.
Yeah.
I get things done.
Yeah.
So, but it was just the arrogance of him to walk up to the captain and say, you have 3 minutes.
You have 3 minutes to board.
So hold that thought.
Please.
So like 2 days later, I'm somewhere in Florida and we finished boarding like 15 minutes before we're supposed to leave. And the airplane, the pilot, for people who don't know, pilots can't close the door 10 minutes. They can only close the door 10 minutes before departure. Okay. And if they want to close it earlier than that, they have to get approval from like operations and all that stuff, right? So the gate agent's standing up there. It's like 50, maybe it's even 20 minutes before we can even close the door.
Okay.
And she's like, come on, are you guys ready? Are you guys ready? And the flight attendant's like, well, we're not even allowed to close the door yet.
So what are you?
And the gate agent sticks her head into the flight deck and goes, are you guys ready to close the door? And the first officer says, well, we're still fueling the airplane, so no.
You can't.
And we can't even close the door for 10 more minutes.
You can't close the door while it's fueling.
You can't close the door while it's fueling. And we couldn't even close the door for like 5 or 10 more minutes because they'd have to get approval. So she just stands up there staring at the flight attendant until they could close the door. I was very upset.
I can imagine.
Well, I understand the agenda is to close the door. So I always have to remind myself who to focus my frustrations on.
Correct.
And it's not the gate agents.
Correct.
It's the airline.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I don't feel that it is the gate agents' fault. I think that they are getting so much pressure. And I feel like a lot of the airlines divide the groups, in terms of the pilots, the flight attendants, the gate agents, when it should be us working together to get it out on time or whatever it is.
Right.
But they put too much pressure on the gate agents to get it out on time no matter what, but they don't take into account what else is going on. And then I understand there's emails and like, well, why didn't it go out on time? Like, well, you have to put the delay on someone.
The delay,
you have to put
so when there's a delay, there's a code. Because you can't just say, oh yeah, the plane went out. Somebody has to be blamed for why it's delayed.
Yeah.
Right. And pilots, I don't say this to be disrespectful, but pilots don't really care because pilots are like, safety comes first. So if I'm busy doing something safety related and we're delayed, we're delayed.
And I agree.
Right.
I'm fine with that.
Flight attendants, I haven't had a delay code put on me in probably 5 or 6 years. And whenever I do, I laugh at it because I'm like, I don't care.
I'll tell one for you.
And then gate agents get put on disciplinary action if flights go out.
They get the brunt of it.
They get so much pressure that I have to, when they're standing there and they're like, are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? And I'm like, I'm doing my safety checks. I have to remind myself, okay, don't be mad at them.
Correct.
Because they're afraid for their job because the airline's going to put them on disciplinary action because they're putting so much pressure on them.
I think there needs to be a better system for all of us working together. The communication needs to be better. I don't know what the solution would be.
I know what the solution is. I should start an airline.
There you go.
The solution is, my dear, these airlines need to stop having airplanes turn so quickly.
Oh, absolutely. The turn times are unrealistic.
The plane lands at 12 and it's going to be out at 12:35.
You're out of your mind.
You want me to deplane 200 people,
7 wheelchairs,
clean up the plane,
14 strollers,
reboard 200 people, plus everything that LJ just said, and be out on. No,
it's not realistic.
It's not realistic.
It's not realistic. They need, and I understand. Well, time is money, and that's the thing. They want it out. They want it out. They want it out because they want to make more money. I get that, but you're causing more problems in the long run.
Right.
And also, then there's people are missing steps and not doing their job correctly because they're in a rush.
Right. Yeah.
That's a problem.
It's very upsetting, and I feel really bad. I personally,
I feel for the gate agents.
Could never be a gate agent.
I could never do their job. I've seen them get ripped apart with delays. Like, people are awful, and they take the brunt of it. They are the face of it, and I could never do their job. I have so much respect for them. I don't know how they do that.
I don't.
And I've been there when the crew's waiting to get on a plane, and the gate agent will turn around and come to us and be like, we just got word that we're canceling this flight. I just need a second to like compose myself because it's going to be a shitstorm happening.
They have to call the police sometimes.
It's horrendous. So like I feel for them, but also I've had a situation where I'll talk about my gate agent story of being, I don't know if I should say where I was.
Well, I always make up cities.
Great. So I was in
Houston.
Great. Sure. I was in Houston.
Yeah,
let's say that.
Yeah.
And there were about, I'm not even going to lie, it's a child heavy city. So there's about 14 to 15 strollers, double strollers coming off of the flight.
So you were in Orlando.
Another one.
Okay.
The other one.
I don't even know the other one, but go ahead.
But yes. So there's 14 to 15 strollers, double strollers coming off. 2 or 3 wheelchairs. We're on the jet bridge. And it was the same situation of like, okay, can we board?
Right.
I'm like, we're not even on the plane yet.
Right.
But can we board? No, I haven't even gone on the plane. I haven't even made eye contact with the pilots. I haven't even done my checks.
Right.
But like, can we board? We have 7 wheelchairs.
But it's like they're not even paying attention.
They're not even listening to anything that you're saying.
No.
And I got a delay code for that.
Oh.
I was livid.
Right.
Like livid.
But you have to understand that they're so afraid to put the codes. They'll get fired.
But I don't understand what the problem is. Like, no, deplaning, we had 7 wheelchairs and 15 things, and we couldn't get everybody off the plane within a 15-minute turn time.
I do believe there is a code for like that type of stuff.
Can you hear my stomach growling? I'm so sorry.
And you really need that taco.
I really need a taco.
I wish I had a taco for you.
No, sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. But I think there's a code, like, because I've asked the gate agent, like, well, what if it's just like, oops, you were taking this straight back wheelchair off the airplane and it took a long time. They're like, oh, yeah, we have a code for that.
Then use that. Stop putting it on the I feel like putting it on the flight attendants in that situation, I was so livid. But I also agree with you, and I understand that, and I've been there too. I also agree with you when you talked about how they keep the work groups separate because it's just like, I don't know if you've ever read the book 1984 by George Orwell, but it's basically 3 different types of countries that are on the planet, and each ruler of those countries keeps those people so separate because when you do that, you can have more control over your people. So, the gate agents... It's absolutely an active choice.
So it's the gate agents against the flight attendants, and the flight attendants against the pilots, and the pilots against the gate. And
because then it's the airline doesn't take any responsibility for anything that goes wrong. It's the flight attendants. Oh, it's the gate agents. Oh, it's the pilots. No, most of the time it's the weather. Correct.
And it's the passengers who... Or
there's a mechanical.
Right. So, your stomach's growling. I have to burp so bad that I've literally swallowed it like 10 times. I'm sorry if you heard that, and it's disgusting.
There you go.
But so I was I'm so frustrated. So I wrote a blog post about it the other day, and I was just talking about how don't be mad at the gate agents. Yes, they could change their behavior a little bit. They don't have to be assholes. Flight attendants don't have to be
assholes.
High five, because we have the same brain here. And pilots, well, they're always going to be assholes. Oh my God, can I tell you what happened the other day?
Yes.
So this is off topic, but I have to share this. So we were flying, and we had like 7 deadheaders. And deadheaders are when the airline is positioning flight attendants or pilots, they deadhead to a new location for you people who don't know that. So we had like 7 deadheaders, and when everyone was deplaned, one of the deadhead pilots was walking to get his luggage that was in the overhead bin. Now, all the passengers were off the plane except a woman who was waiting on a wheelchair. Okay. So as he's walking by, she stops him. This is a true story. She stops him and says, "Sir, do you know if the wheelchairs are out on the jet bridge?" He stops. He looks down at his wings. He points at his wings and he goes, what does that say? It says pilot. And then he walked on. He walked off. He just kept walking. I didn't witness this. The other flight attendant witnessed this, but she told me, and there's no reason that she would lie about it. And I kept asking her for, I would sit there and be like, "Are you lying? You're lying." She's like, "No, I'm still shocked." I'm like, "No, that didn't happen." She goes, "No, I was standing right there. I looked at the woman and said, 'I'm so sorry.'" And she was like, "What did I say wrong?" So,
oh my God,
that's because I said some pilots are assholes. I had to bring up that story. But bringing it back to the gate agents,
wow,
I know, isn't that like that could shocking? Like, dude,
she should write in. Nothing would be done.
What's going to happen to him? Like, remember the captain who was talking to the gate agent and said, "Put the delay on me. I'm not going to get in trouble." Exactly. They don't get in trouble. But yeah, so focusing, like, airlines need to stop putting so much pressure on these gate agents and being and stretching out that term. I understand if the plane's not flying, it's not making money.
Yes, I understand that.
You also got miserable employees who are causing anxiety to your pilots and your flight attendants, and it's just too much. So I had to really tell myself, like, don't be mad at them because they have a lot of pressure on them.
Yeah, I just think rushing things slip through the cracks, and I think that's a huge problem.
I agree.
10.
So, so that's how I felt about that, and it was just really upsetting to come to the realization, because I've always wanted to be angry at the gate agents. I've always wanted to be like, oh, they don't fucking play around. Look at them acting like that. This is ridiculous. Like, they don't. And then I work with flight attendants who used to be gate agents, and they're like, yeah, I don't understand what's going on. Like, we used to not be like that. And I'm thinking, I'm sure you were like that. But
my also, check more bags. That's also my thing. Gate check more bags. That's the problem. That's also a problem with, like, boarding and deplaning and stuff like that, when we're dealing with bags in the overhead bins, and it could have easily been solved on the ground.
Right. Yeah, no, how many times have you seen a passenger come on with a bag that you just look at it and you say, this bag doesn't...
You can fit a small child in that bag.
This
like,
bag...
I
was non-revving on an airline like 6 or 8 months ago, and I was standing in line as we were walking on board, and they were checking our boarding passes, and this gate agent was literally taking everyone's bag and putting it in the bagger, and I was like, "That's fine. That's great. Yeah. No, that's great, because that's what it's there for.
That's why it's there."
And then you say to the gate agents, like, how did this bag get through? I don't know. I'm working at the gate alone. I'm all by myself.
They don't have enough reinforcements.
So
they don't have.
What does that go back
support.
to? The airline. So I feel like everything gets put on the employees
when they're understaffed.
When they're understaffed.
Yeah, that's not fair. That's not fair at all. Well, a supervisor's supposed to come by and help. Well, they're not there, so that's a problem. Yeah, they need to be held accountable for that. Yeah, right.
And being held accountable is something that, I don't know how you feel, but I always feel that it's always the flight attendant work group that's held accountable. Like, if I'm 2 minutes late to the gate, I'm in trouble.
Correct.
Somebody just commented on my blog. Tell me what you think about this.
Okay.
Somebody just commented, when I wrote that blog post about gate agents, somebody commented, like, our flight was delayed in 90 minutes because the flight attendant was eating in a restaurant.
What?
So I was like, at first I didn't comment. And then somebody started a conversation about it. And somebody was like, I don't know if that's true. And then they were arguing, because that's what happens.
Yeah.
And then
social media.
Right. And then I piped in and I was like, I'll be honest. I've been a flight attendant for over 10 years, and I have never, ever heard of a flight attendant being 90 minutes late to the gate on their own accord. Like, I'm just not going to go to the gate. Oh, I have to be at the gate at 10? I'm just going to go to the gate at 11:30.
Yeah.
So I said to them, like, there's probably a lot of things that you
don't know.
Right. And then this person, of course. Yeah. Was not happy with that and said, no, I was there, and that flight, they just showed up an hour and a half late for no reason. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, that's not true.
Correct.
That's fake news.
Correct. But also, I do think the gate agents are our first line of defense, too, because if they get on the PA or whatever to the gate, if there is a delay or they're waiting on a flight attendant or somebody got sick or had a family emergency, because that honestly has happened time and time again. Mm-hmm. Because, again, we are humans and we are real people. And, I've recently witnessed, one of the pilots had a family emergency, and he literally flew into our station and had to he had a family emergency with one of his kids and had to get pulled off that trip so he can get home as fast as possible.
Sure.
Which of course, they're human, and that happens. So there is a call-out system where, like, they have to get another pilot there. That's going to take some time.
Right.
Like, each company, I think, has a different call-out system, whether it's an hour or 2 hours or whatever, that they have to get to the gate,
right.
you know, to get there. So also, I think the gate agents, what they say and how they present that information to the people on that flight is a big thing too.
Right.
They can be like, "Oh, well, we're just waiting for a pilot who's just not here."
Right. Well,
that's a problem.
I've heard them
Or
say like, "We're waiting on the flight attendants." So then, of course, and then one time I was working.
So then it seems like I'm like sloshing in
right.
and like just sauntering in and be like, "Oh, I just gotta get my Starbucks." And
right.
Like, blah 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 blah. No,
I'm running from another gate.
I'm running from another gate, or I just got a phone call from crew recovery or something that says, "Hi, you have to get down to this airport within this amount of time. Go now." 90% of the time I'm throwing on my stockings, grabbing my bag and be like, "Where am I going?" Right. We don't know. Do I have a hotel? We don't know. Right. I have no information. I'm just trying to get there as fast as possible to get there for you. But if the gate agent is saying flat out like, "Oh, we're just waiting for a flight attendant," then it looks like I'm a jerk.
Right.
But I've had gate agents who say flat out on the PA, like, "We have a flight attendant, they're coming in, they're saving the day, so this flight doesn't have to get canceled." And then I'll get a round of applause when I walk up to the gate for like, or thank yous when they come on. "Thanks so much for doing this so we're not canceled." Of course.
Yes.
Happy to help. You know what I mean? Like, happy to be here, happy to get you where you need to go. That makes my life so much easier. So I think if it is that working together kind of thing, I have great gate agents at my airport, at my airline, and I'm very fortunate for that. So, and I think it also says a lot about the people that they hire.
Okay.
In terms of there are good quality people who spend the time to get to know each other or spend the time to like, I have your back. Like, regardless of the company, I have your back. Like, let's try to work together.
Yeah,
and help
that's always nice.
Which is nice because mine is a little smaller. So I do see the same people over and over. So that might be helpful for me.
I'm in a very large base. Okay. So I don't see people like that. But, I've worked flights where, we've come in delayed, right? And then run across the airport and get on the plane. And then I'm standing there and I'm the lead flight attendant. I'm like, "Hi, welcome aboard." And people are like, "Thanks for showing up. And I'm like, "What's going on?" Yeah. And one time that happened. And then like, I kind of made a face like, "What's that about?" And the person, like 2 people behind them stopped and said, "I just want to let you know the gate agents were saying that you guys weren't here and we're putting the blame on you. That's why people are coming on board and they're blaming you." And I was like, "Oh, well," I said,
watch me make an announcement on that.
We were 3 hours delayed. We literally I didn't even get to go to the bathroom just because I had to run from like gate 17 to gate 2.
Yeah. And you're throwing shade.
Well, throwing people under the bus.
Yeah.
Don't throw people in the engine of the Boeing 737 because you're going to come out chopped up.
Chopped up.
Chop it up.
Chop it up. You only swore 4 times.
That's it? I only said fuck.
Well, 5.
5 times?
Yeah.
That's not. I'm getting better.
You are doing. I don't mind you cursing.
No. Well, you know what? When
I don't care.
Well, when we started this, I wanted to make it available for children.
You doing anything for children is like off.
No, I want to write a children's book.
I'll do that with you.
Yeah, I want to write a children's book, and I think I want to contact the gentleman who did the covers of my book and the one who did the cover, who did our logo.
For
and
podcast.
I would love to work for him. I'd love to work with him and do a children's book based on my cats.
Ooh. We could do a children's book based on flying, too, if you want.
No, I'm tired of flying.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to do other things.
And
we're done. A children's book. Oh, maybe we could do a children's book on how to fly and shut the fuck up.
There you go.
Like
we
those,
could do adult children's books or whatever.
What are they? I just saw one the other day, like go to fuck to sleep or eat your fucking food.
Oh, I would love. Let's do that.
How about like sit the fuck down and shut up.
Shut up.
I don't want to hear about your nut allergy. Oh, please wrap this up. I'm done talking about agents.
We're done.
Yes.
We're done. That's gate agents in a nutshell.
Gate agent agenda. Get the door closed. We understand. If you're listening, you're a gate agent. We love you. We want to work as a team.
We appreciate you.
And we understand.
We know you take the brunt of it.
That you're verbally and physically, probably not physically, sexually abused by the airline because what they're fucking you in the ass. That's what they're doing. When they leave you with one person, you have to board 400 people for a flight to Manchester, England. I say that like I've experienced it, but I haven't. I just literally made that up. That was all. I'm going to say it again. That was all fake news.
Fake news.
All right, guys. Thank you guys for listening in. We really appreciate it. We love you. And take it away.
Fly safe, birdies. See you next time. Come back to Confessions on the Fly.
With
LJ.
and me, Flight Attendant Joe.
He's famous.
No, I'm not.
So famous.
Okay, enough.
All right, done.